So we're going to do a quick overview. This is what our ambitious agenda is for less than an hour, probably. I'm just going to get started. So we're going to just briefly go over what is Guided Pathways so that you understand what the what is. And so what Guided Pathways is all about is what they call starting with the end in mind. So what do we want? And so what we're looking at is improving rates of college completion, transfer, attainment of jobs with value in the labor market. So there are all kinds of people who are going to be involved in this process, including the labor market or the people in the community who are looking to hire our students. One of the big motivating factors for Guided Pathways is equity. We're always looking at ways to make this a more even or better playing field for students who are coming from a variety of backgrounds and socioeconomic backgrounds. And all of us know that in any classroom at any given day, any given time, that every person sitting there has a story, and they had to go through different barriers and processes to all come together to be in your room at that time on that day. And so we are always looking at how we can use how we can achieve equity in how our students move through the system and are able to complete what they came here to do. Sometimes I think there's this feeling with Guided Pathways that it's a scorched earth policy, and it's really not. It is not about burning the house down and starting over. It's really talking about what do we do here, why do we do it, how are we doing it, and we have a lot of things in place across a lot of divisions that is not going to change. It'll be just built upon, and we will bring sort of help other areas fit into an approach that is more easily navigated for students. And we'll get to the next slide. So that's the what. The why always circles back to the students, because that's our whole focus. Why are we doing this at all? And so if we look at what students want and what they are saying, and what are the first questions they ask, and everybody from the academic affairs side of the house, when I went through this last week, they were all nodding because they know this is true. This is what they hear every time. So a student walks in, the very first time they meet with someone, an academic advisor perhaps, and they're asking, well, what are my career options? It's the first thing. Then they want to know, how did they get there? And they love to know what classes they need to take. So how do I make that happen? How long will it take and how much will it cost? You can't take that out of it. And then how much financial aid can I get? And then will my credits transfer? Because a huge chunk of our students transfer on to four-year universities. So Dr. Maxwell is going to take it from here and set up the next section for us.
Okay, before we get started in what we're going to talk about today in terms of opportunities, we thought it'd be good to just kind of review a little bit of what the feedback was that you all gave last time. So what I would like for you to be able to do, I believe on your tables, there's about 3 copies of this handout. This is the handout that summarizes what feedback we received from everyone last week as it related to barriers. On each of your tables, there also is a handout that focuses on, highlights a different level of the student life cycle, a different phase. So as you're looking at this feedback here, I want you to just, in the interest of time, focus only on the page that is related to your phase. And I want you to say, I want you to be able to review that with your tables and see kind of what stands out to you the most about what you learned about some of the barriers that are listed there. So it may be that all of you were here last week, and it may be that some of you were not. So in that case, so for example, this first page says engage and entry, right? So you should have a sheet on your table, and it will let you know that the second phase is engage and entry. So if that one is the one that's larger for you, then that's the page that you would focus on. Make sense? So I'll give you a few minutes to do that, and then we'll just have someone report out. So this is just kind of our way of saying what stands out to you about the feedback that's on the handout for that phase. Okay? Which is basically as a table, what do you think were the biggest things that stood out from what was discussed last time in terms of barriers? And we'll try to go in order again. So we'll start with the group that has connection and prepare. For barriers.
Okay. Well, there's a lot.
Just a couple of things that you think stand out the most.
There's a lot of don'ts. So don't know, don't understand the process, don't know who to talk to. So some of that is just coming in and just the need for onboarding, so because they don't know what they don't know, and yet we don't do a good job of necessarily acclimating them to the culture from the get-go. Cost was another concern, and then the process that we have laid out for them to enroll are incredibly laborious or difficult to navigate. Process, yeah, and not understanding.
Great. All right, and then who had entry engage?
So the two main things that we saw there is that we need to take a look at the enrollment processes. There are already those existing, but we want to make sure that everybody on campus understands them so that they can assist with when students get stuck in the process. And that we also have a consistent message that everybody's saying the same thing to any student. And secondly, training, because in order for that to happen, we all have to be trained. And again, we all have to be consistent in what we are telling our students, from making them understand that the choice that they've made is a positive choice, that we're here to help them in meeting their goal, whether it's just taking a class or completing a degree, transferring, etc. Towards, and then, getting them to the next phase of orientation, which it will help them with the second phase of what they need to know, which is what services we have to provide so that they can be successful.
Thank you, Yvette. Progress and commit.
We got communication issues, getting in different directions from folks. We also got life issues and confusion. We also have not knowing their status, where I'm at in the program, where I'm at in the process, before we move forward.
Thank you. And then,
And so the one thing that we would add to that would be that majors don't necessarily equal jobs, careers and majors, and what is the linkage between those, so how do I make a decision?
that's a great point, Amy, because that piece of it also is about helping students to connect their educational goals to their career goals, right? So that they are, as we were doing with Guided Pathways, starting with the end in mind when they're coming in with what their goals are too, right? And making that connection. And completion and complete, we didn't have a table for that, so that's one that Diane and I took on. One of the things that, there were three main themes that came up as it related to this. One was related to just kind of how we offer courses. So continuing to have different modalities of courses, and maybe also looking at multiple start times, etc. That those are things that were going to help with students' busy lives to be able to achieve their goals. Another was related to support, and I would say that is support across the board with faculty, with our staff, and with students, whether that's professional development for our employees or with students that also may be taking courses either online or in the evening or have some other kind of alternative format, that we are providing equal services for all of those students and employees.
And including adjuncts in that.
Yes. So then the last one was transition and thrive.
We just, sorry. So we talked about, it was just the transfer opportunity of like students knowing kind of what their degree, like what they wanted at the first step. And then we just talked about two different ways that they identified that is, what will this get me job-wise, like what career-wise, how will this prepare me, like what careers will I get out of it? Then also for us as like first chances, they don't always know the process of how college actually works. So they think here, they're gonna be here for 4 years, they'll get their bachelor's degrees, and yes, we have programs that provide that, but essentially our goal is to get them to another place as well, or things that they want. So they think that this is not a transitional phase, so when they hear us saying like, where are you gonna transfer, what are you gonna do post this, they're like, why am I going anywhere? So it's just also discussing just the process of how college works. So for example, like some of them come with us to master's degrees and they're like, this is what I want for my bachelor's. I'm like, well, this is a master's program, and so you have to do steps to get there. So we talked about a lot of that transition of just what is college, how do you go to college, how do you progress, where you're meeting the career to academic goal.
Great.
essentially.
Thank you so much, Anna. So as you can see, there's actually even a theme with this in that what we're seeing is that a lot of the barriers have to do with how clear we are with students about how they connect their educational and their career goals, right? In terms of what it is that they want to do. So as we move into our activity for today, I'm probably going to have you all play a little bit of musical chairs because I want to make sure that you're not too clustered in your groups. Again, I want to continue to have that diversity of thought at each table. So I wanted to put this graphic up again just to kind of remind you of the different phases, which you also have here on your tables. I'll probably move some of you to this table so we don't have two tables that are focused on the same student phase. But what we wanted to be able to focus on today is based on, again, the overview of guided pathways, some of the barriers that we discussed and how that impacts student success. What are some of the opportunities that you think that we might be able to look forward to as it relates to guided pathways and student success? How will those opportunities impact these different levels of the student life cycle? So that's what we're going to be focusing on today for the remainder of our time. That's going to give you an opportunity to really be able to have these discussions at your round tables, and you're going to report out and record that information on the easels, and then we'll have another report out session with enough time left over to be able to ask and answer some questions, hopefully. So, questions about what we're doing next. Okay, so I'm going to move some of you to this table up here. Probably some folks in these two groups because I think those are the two same groups. And then if you have people at your table that are clustered because you're all in the same department, I want you to kind of disperse yourselves among the other tables, please. So I'll give you a few minutes to do that and then we'll just get started. All right, so again, if you need reminders of guided pathways on your tables, there's still those handouts that are here. These handouts give you our elevator speech about what guided pathways is. And on the back, again, is the model from AACC that gives you information about the planning implementation phases as well of guided pathways. So again, the goal is clarify the path, help students to get on a path, keep them on a path, and ensure that they're learning. That's on my left hand side, the green section. That's what the implementation phases are of guided pathways. So to help with overall context, if you need a reminder as you continue to go into this. Again, now we're going to focus on opportunities related to guided pathways. So we'll give you about 15 minutes. Got some good feedback, and I wanted to just go ahead and see if I can provide a little more clarity because we did not give a specific definition for the word opportunity. So I want to be able to talk about that a little bit. And so we're not at the how phase. We're not at trying to we're not solving problems yet. We're not at the solution phase. We're still in the aspirational phase, right? So we're looking at what if this was the perfect implementation of guided pathways from what we know, right? What are some of those opportunities? What are some of those ideas? What are some of those ways in which we could brainstorm possibilities, innovate, etc., that we could say, based on students in the progress commit phase of the student life cycle, what are the opportunities there? Does that kind of help to make a little more sense? No, I still don't get it. So,
Maybe if you look at it this way.
I was going to say an example is like, ideally in a successful guided pathway program, you're going to have a larger advising staff. They're going to have dedicated advisors for each student that comes in, and so that would be idealistic. So I said sufficient advisors as an opportunity. Is that a good example?
yeah, and Dr. Dell gave a great example too. So theirs is with Thrive and Complete. Thrive and Transition. And so from that perspective, he talked about it as, well, one of the things that we could do is continue to have a more robust alumni program and association. So that is something that's just getting started, right? But in terms of an opportunity, there's a great opportunity for that to be something that is really comprehensive in terms of what our alumni are able to do. They could volunteer on our campus, right? They might be able to also create their own kind of network of recruitment for PVCC. There are lots of different ways in which we can think about what would be aspirational about these different areas that could really move students along in their cycle and their experience. So does that help in terms of providing some examples and then also thinking about opportunity, again, not as problem solving right now, but more aspirational in nature?
And are we assuming unlimited budget in this
Yes,
exercise?
yes, utopian at this point. I don't want to limit you all with budget right now, right? For some of you right people, it's time for a report now. So, again, let's try starting with the first phase and move that way. So the first one is connection and prepare. Start connection and prepare. Opportunities. Thank you, Kim.
I'm very happy to volunteer, Joel. Again, this is a wish list, very doable, we think. But in order for prepare, dedicated and sufficient number of advisors, a clear point of contact for a student with somebody that can stay with them throughout their process in college. Before starting, when I worked at Phoenix College in the late 90s, we had faculty advisors for, like, if you are a science major, let's talk about the opportunities for the classes and the majors and the careers before you even started. So there's that opportunity for students to meet the faculty before they started. There's increased connections with high schools. We heard, like Anna was saying, students coming in, not knowing that this is a 2-year school. We think maybe more partnerships and closer relationships with the high schools, they might be more prepared. And they also would know that we have honors and PSP squared, and we have some of these resources, which would also mean that everyone in the college, it'd be helpful if we all knew all the different services and programs that we have. So we have to go over that more frequently together. More bridge programs. It would be nice if they had, like, they say they want the AAA and the CPD 150 before they started, because 4 weeks in, it's too late. So they have that mindset that you're just a one-semester student sometimes. So if they had taken that, either like prepping for the placement test before they start in the fall, like in the summer, and then also boot camp, like Mike has a very successful math boot camp, so they can retest and maybe get into a higher class, and maybe take classes that they want to take earlier, instead of taking the developmental right off the bat. Clearer cost of attendance. It's very hard to find things on our website. If you're trying to find programs or connections or people, it's also hard to find the comparisons and the cost of right off the bat. Here's how much you can expect to get. And then help with the application process, make the app easier. Thank you. Good group.
Thank you.
So I would add to that also, because I see numerous students who have no idea how to fill out the FAFSA and who to talk to about that. And they really struggle with that. And I've started it, and there are times I'll sit down with them and start the process as far as I can go with them. But help with FAFSA or financial aid.
We'll make sure to note that.
Okay, thank you.
It's good, it's true. There's so many different processes.
I know.
Then our next phase, entry engage.
So for us, is help with that process, because we're talking to students at all times, and kind of be that contact person. We agree with this group that the students need to take a person that they can rely on, that even though you might not know all the answers, they confide in you, and then you can then refer them to the right place where they need to go for help. More efficient marketing at all levels, from the recruitment and obviously what programs and services we provide, to specific messages at the time of the year, many things. Cross-campus collaboration, again, with recruitment, with retention, with each other and advising students. Changing that growth mindset, again, a lot of, yeah. One of the big barriers that was on our list was that the viewpoint of education, just again, looking at it means at the end. So again, changing in everybody's mind, again, how can we continuously talk to students about what is out there for you in terms of careers, money you may be making, etc. Making those conversations, but that everybody again has that mindset. And helping the student understand that too. Because sometimes they have in their mind, oh, well, community colleges are not for me, or just because of money, but actually know that you made the right decision and the best decision. And that even though you're looking at going to university, for example, you will get there, but in a different route, actually in a better route, because you will be saving money, etc., etc. We want a mentorship program. It kind of goes back to, again, finding key people on campus that students can engage with or connect with, so that, again, if they have a problem, an issue, they can come to them and then be heard. Increase our learning communities and first-year experience opportunities, and then because you have those cohorts and connections. And one of the issues was the active pacer. The students don't take the test seriously, as they do with an SAT or ACT. So we want to, again, prepare them, offer maybe workshops, study groups, camps, to help them understand that, yes, if you actually test in the right place, then you might not have to take unprepared type coursework, etc. One thing that I brought up too is that some of our high schools are now going to be offering the SAT, ACT free. And so maybe looking at how we maybe accept some of those scores or not. Because it's going to be important and it's coming, and so again, how do we address that issue? And then nominate students to test for higher courses. That means that if you are, as faculty, you are seeing in your class that, especially for math or reading English, well maybe not English, but for math specifically, that the student is kind of above the level that they should be, then maybe you do have a conversation with them and you have a way to get them to maybe additional testing or something, get them to a different level, because that way they can advance faster, but yet they're not, again, having to take the sequence. And what we find is that sometimes we advise by saying, well, if you started at this level, then you have to follow that sequence. So there's no way for the student to, you know, especially if they tested wrong or whatever, or that day they were prepared to get tested in the lower level, and they don't have a way to get a higher class. And that's it.
So I'll add to this one too. Oh wait, let's see. One of the things you mentioned was a mentorship program. And my experience at Estrella was a part of what the Engage Estrella program now, which is a campus-wide mentorship program where it was everyone's responsibility and opportunity to volunteer and mentor students. And so that might be an opportunity for us here in terms of ways to be able to connect and engage with students. And literally the students would sign up for the program. There'd be training for the employees that I was involved in helping to create. And then at the same time, there was this opportunity to be able to have these gatherings and meetings with the students as they continue to progress through their experience. So that might also be kind of one of those things that, again, is aspirational, maybe an opportunity to help students engage. So our next phase is progress and commit.
So we're thinking about, okay, what program do we already have on our college that's excellent, that has to do with student, commitment and progress? And what came to mind was the PAWS system for our athletes. And so we were thinking, okay, that's an excellent program. We refer these students that are struggling. They get talk to their coach, and then they realize that in order to play the sport, I've got to do better, and they do better. So why can't we have a system like PAWS for our non-athletes, okay, whereby maybe each student that has declared their path, whatever their path is, we would have sort of a success coach for that particular path. So if there's a business path or STEM path, so I might be the STEM path success coach, and say somebody's struggling in a chemistry class or whatever, and they come to me, and so instead of like having that incentive of, not being able to play baseball or soccer, or cross country, you say, okay, what is your career goal? Maybe they want to be a veterinarian. So it's like, okay, well, if you want to be a veterinarian, you have to do this course. You have to be successful in this course and all these other courses. And so you sort of use that opportunity as, yes, they're not an athlete and they don't have that sports thing that really ties them to it. They have some type of career goal that you could focus on. So we were thinking of maybe success coaches for different paths that instructors can refer students to, and it would be a online system, automated system, very much like the PAWS.
And we felt that there was power in that because we know that when students feel connected to the college, right, their relationship with a person can be the key component in whether they persist, whether they're successful, all of those things. And so if they had one person that they felt cared about them, even if they know their instructors care about them and kind of help facilitate linking them up, that they knew they had a go-to person who was interested in how they developed, what their success looked like, and was there to guide them and give them accurate information if they were on the right path, if they needed to make a change, but that there would be that consistency for the student.
I think we said that at each point.
Yes.
They really need to say one person go.
Right. And the other thing was an app, a student app for tracking their progress. So where am I, what am I doing, where do I go next? And if they have a little app that tells them, you're 75% of the way, and these are the courses to complete, and this is what we suggest next semester, whatever that would look like. But aspirationally, it would all be in their hand, and they would know exactly what to do.
Yes, both of you made great points. Let's give some hands. I would say also that basically what you're describing is the need for an e-tool for early alert, because that is the early alert process, right? It's trying to help the students when they're struggling along the way in those paths, and also help them to see what their progress is and what resources are available to them. And that is also a part of one of the work teams that will be focused on integrated support services around guided pathways. So,
Right, and to enhance the early alert, because there have been experiences here as well as other campuses among the people discussing this, that you send something off to early alert and you're just hoping something happens, and that you never really know who got connected, did that student get follow-up, was the student accessible to receive that follow-up, where kind of what we're imagining would be, I sent in this thing and I know who's picking it up, because I know who that student is connected with, and I have a relationship with that success coach also, and so that we could work in unison to support that student. So it's like early alert, on steroids too.
absolutely. Thank you, Amy. All right, so the next one, completion and complete.
Well, actually, we said a lot of what has already been said here, the app being improved for progress. Another part that we had brought up, that I think Jim brought up at the beginning stages, was kind of service learning, knowing where you're going on your degree path, like what is the career you're really going towards. Are you in the dentistry program? Do you like to teach mills? You might not like to when you do that service learning part. Since we were also complete section, we talked about the student who's 75% through their program also. So kind of the capstone type of courses that would go with that. Also a portfolio. We do somewhat of a portfolio in the beginning stages is the CTE classes, but we really don't do anything towards the end of that degree track. Canvas type of course to what's that next step. So preparing the student for how to apply and go towards your university, how to do, what does it mean to be a graduate student, graduate research, what kind of jobs are out there in the field. Scribbling notes here. We talked too about AJAC programs within the high school. We're getting a lot of high schools who are wanting to kind of model what the AAEC, that the students graduating high school and college kind of at the same time. And so how can we do that, and in turn that makes our PV student more appealing towards the university. So possibly university scholarships from these natures.
And then our last group, transition and thrive.
Okay, so we talked about a few things. We talked about transfer and how our students get to that big old university up there at ASU and they're kind of lost, they don't have a connection. So we thought, hey, what about a transfer program? Maybe that could just be for PVCC or maybe it could be for MCCD or anybody, you know, to transfer, no matter where they transfer from. We thought that was a good idea.
It's a good idea.
Then we talked about the alumni and maybe incorporating retirees in that. And because I'm going to be retiring soon, I thought, how would I come back and, you know, be of service in some way? And so we talked about, you know, expanding some of the things that the alumni do, like maybe advocate for community colleges, you know, go to legislature, go to different posts and people in the valley. But, you know, we also talked about things like a travel group for alumni and having maybe a dinner once a year.
It was more fun when we talked about it.
We're trying to be serious here for once in my life.
No, we're looking at a multi-pronged approach that maybe we set up among our alumni, mentors, going off to university, because it is very different from coming here. And finding your way there, help their up-and-coming fellow graduates. Like some fun stuff, like a big carnival, a whole weekend just for alumni weekends where they can go to a concert or they can go to the glass blowing or have a dance or a dinner, something that celebrates, gives them a reason to come back here. The travel club is kind of a service learning thing, not just broadening horizons, but that positive social change. Let's go help build houses or help get clean water supplies or something like that.
And we defined alumni as having completed one class.
Yes.
So if you happen to have passed the fitness center, you're in.
Thank you. So we appreciate all of you giving your feedback today. Hopefully you leave here with some kind of like, oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, that's a good idea. Wouldn't that be great if we could do that? And then at the same time to be able to say, you know, here are the ways in which we can maybe see how Guided Pathways continues to be a part of our world, right? How we continue to embrace it and share it with other employees and colleagues and students. So before we leave today, I want to make sure that we also acknowledge Dr. Dell has been here again for our forum. Thanks for being here, Dr. Dell. And with that, I'll allow you to close this up.
So real quick, I know people have to run and scoot, but two observations that I would make participating. I'm glad that I've been here as a participant. One is you guys have done a remarkable job of really identifying those elements that we know to be true as part of the pathway process. So if you look at the AAC model, you really personalize that for PV. Secondly is when I sit down here, I realize the work we did in Maricopa 6, 7, 8 years ago with iStart Smart and the Student Success Initiative was really good, but we never carried through fruition. So the beautiful thing about this conversation is we're thinking more holistically from the first point of contact all the way through transition. So we're really looking at success from a more holistic model. So great work. I hope we can get some clips from this. I thought some great examples at all the tables. It would be great to put those into short little clips, attach those to your communication pieces. But thank you so much for your continued work. And I'm excited about accelerating the process in January of 2018.
Just as a final plug there, we will be having during Learning Week 2 informational sessions where then we go focus on the how. We're going to start doing some problem solving and working on the solutions. So we encourage you all to continue to grapple with some of this. There are some resources that we have sent out through some of our communications. The very first one, I believe, we sent out a couple of readings. Please don't hesitate to utilize some of that reading over your winter break. And this is when we're going to be talking about the how guided pathways. So be on the lookout of that when the comes out from Michelle about learning.
And you'll notice that it'll be a session, 2 sessions that are 2 hours apiece, because we really would like to get to Q&A. Trying to keep this short because people are busy, but we really want to get to the Q&A that you might have. So during Learning Week, it'll be the same session 2 different times, and we'll have time then for you to compile your questions. And in the meantime, we'll have gone through God knows how many more meetings, and so maybe we will can address some of the questions that people have.
So please leave your notes as well. And if you did not sign in when you came in, please sign in. Thank you.